What's up, y'all, and welcome back to Jordan's Condo, which is the chillest place to be on YouTube. So go ahead, find you a snack, find you a seat, get comfortable, and stay tuned for this video. So y'all already know it's March, and with spring, it's always a new batch of anime. Some are brand new, but some have already been launched in the animes that are just getting a new installation to their season. So I went ahead and scoped out the scene and watched the first episode of a few of the new animes that are dropping this spring. And I did that to go ahead and give y'all an idea of what's out there so you don't have to waste your time watching an anime that you might not even really enjoy. You're welcome in advance. This right here is the list of anime that we'll cover today in part 1. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the video. So the first anime we're going to cover, it's actually called Go Go Loser Ranger, but people don't really like that name. I went looking on Reddit, like, of people talking about it. They hate the name, and they actually like came up with their own name called Ranger Reject. I'm gonna be saying Ranger Reject in this video just simply for the sake of like time. It's easier like off the tongue. Go Go Loser Ranger is like a little bit of a mouthful, but just in case I alternate, that you'll know which one I'm talking about. But the first thing that caught my eye about this anime is how crispy the animation is. It's beautiful. It's super easy on the eyes to watch. Some anime, like for me, especially when I go back to the older ones, it's kind of hard on the eyes just with the anime style. But this is like really smooth. It's really clean. If you want to watch it, it's on Hulu. But to give y'all a good idea of the plot, basically think about Power Rangers, but as an anime. So basically one day out of the blue, this floating rock appeared in the world, and it was full of monsters, and the dragon keepers, aka the Power Rangers, rose up to basically fight the monsters. So eventually they end up killing all the captains or the leaders of the monster squad, and it's only like the small fighters left to live. So they end up taking a truce, the dragon keepers, they end up taking a truce with these weak, low-level monster fighters, and they're like, hey, we want to put on a show for the people. As long as you just act like you're losing and go with this, we'll let you live. And so that's basically their whole lives, is just living and getting killed again by these dragon keepers so they can make money off of them. Kind of like slavery.
What?
But there's this one fighter, his name is Fighter D. He's like, you know what? This is stupid. I can't believe we go and we get set up to lose literally every Sunday when they air this on TV. And if everybody knew like what was going on, they'll be so mad, etc. So nobody ends up coming to his aid and is like, yeah, dude, we should totally do that. So he's like, you know what? Fuck y'all. I'm gonna go do this on my own. So he shapeshifts himself into a human person, and basically he goes to enter into the training boot camp to become one of the dragon keepers, so he can become one of them. He wants to infiltrate them from the inside out. And so where I've left off with it, Fighter D, he's like shapeshifting into different people that's in the Ranger Society, like finding his way in, but he got found out, and honestly it's left me on a cliffhanger. I can't wait to watch it, to be honest. It's like so weird. It's like it's really unique, to be honest. Like in the storyline, if y'all have seen like an anime that's similar to this plot, go ahead and comment. But for me, it's unique. And I honestly, when the whole anime was playing out, I didn't see that plot twist of him going to try and become one of the loser rangers. I just thought it was gonna go in the typical way of like, oh, we have a weak MC who's gonna fight his way to the top. But no. So the comic relief in this too is very refreshing. If you liked Magic and Muscles at all, you'll probably like this. But the comic relief, it's not jarring or anything. It's really well immersed into the story's tone, so it doesn't throw you off. It also kind of reminds me of Psyche K. If you're familiar with that, you kind of know what I'm talking about. The opening sequence, which I'm usually not too particular about, I can say it's great in this. The closing is great. Also kind of like a little different from what I'm used to, but watch it, you'll know what I mean. But it has a fresh concept that keeps me curious and wanting to come back for the next episode. Anxiously awaiting the next one. I cannot wait. Alright, so moving on to the next one, we are covering The Fable. Now this one is honestly going in a completely different direction than where we started from. Go Go Loser Ranger. This one is more of a gritty type anime. Like, it's more less supernatural and more like gritty real life. Ooh, camera slipping. But yeah, it gives you a lot of suspense and it gives you a lot of curiosity because what the fuck? For me, to be honest, this was my first Yakuza type anime, but let me go ahead and let you know what the story is. So basically, we have our main character. His code name right now is Akira Sato or Sato Akira, but his hitman name was the Fable. That's what everybody in all the gangs knew him as. He was a famed mafia Yakuza hitman. Everybody is scared of this nigga. You hear his name, you're pissing your pants. So basically, he's been killing so much and doing such a good job. His boss, aka like the Yakuza group he was in, the leader is like, hey, we have to lay low. You've been killing big names, big celebrities, like huge people. We gotta chill it out. We gotta chill it out like we doing too much. So for a year, he was like, I want y'all, cause our main character, Akira or the Fable, he has an assassin like handler, like this girl who's his handler. So the boss tells them, he's like, y'all, no killing for a month, not month, for a year. Go be normal people. Don't kill anybody. I'll see y'all in a year. I'm gonna send y'all off to this other group I know. They gonna let y'all live in one of they safe houses. I'm gonna get y'all some fake IDs. He was like, whatever the fuck you do, you don't kill shit. Be a normal person. Do whatever you want. Find love. I don't care, but don't kill nobody. Don't make no fucking trouble. And so we're following this hitman and his handler and trying to live a normal life. But after you've been in a Yakuza, there is no living a normal life. So remember I mentioned that the boss is like, hey, I know this other group that's going to let y'all live in the spot they got. So the other group, they're like keeping their eye on him. They're like, don't really trust this nigga. Why would I have a fucking world renowned hitman staying in my spot where he knows like where I am, etc. So it's like where I've left off, which is episode 2, this other gang is trying to test them or whatever. And so it's just cool. But one thing I will say that stands out to me about this anime, a lot of the times in anime, they will paint out these killers because a lot of people in anime are like serial killers. They kill multiple people. But it's like they kind of tend to depict them like as being cool people sometimes or like chill or whatever. But with the Fable, this anime takes a different approach to a psychological killer. Like to me, with them taking the supernatural elements out of everything, it really is like you're watching a serial killer, you know what I'm saying, kind of go through life. He has these odd mannerisms. He's kind of like, he's weird and quirky, but not in the typical anime weird and quirky way. I mean like weird and quirky like a real life socio or psychopath. And I say both because I don't fully know the difference. So, but that's what I like about this one. It's really intriguing because it's like, it's different. Kind of like Goku Loser Ranger. Like I want to know where it's going. I'd say it's worth a watch, especially if you have never like seen a Yakuza or a gang type anime. It's available on Hulu. If y'all go and watch it, definitely drop a comment and let me know what y'all think. We on to 3 out of 4. And this anime is Kaiju number 8. Some of y'all may already be familiar with this if you've been reading the manga. It's been out for a while. I personally am one of those people. Not to say I read the whole manga. I got to like volume 3. But I was kind of already anticipating this becoming an anime. But this plot is more of a typical shonen where we have a zero to hero character. Like he starts off like shitty and, you know, we watching him go into the Hulk. You know, shit like that. But just to get into the plot a little bit more, this is set in Tokyo. You know they love to give Tokyo some monsters. So this setting of Tokyo, they deal with these specific type of monsters called kaiju. They spawn randomly. They come, they destroy stuff, they kill people, blah, blah, blah. You already know how that goes in anime. And so we have our main character, Kafka, who basically, when we see him, he's basically the janitor for the niggas that kill the kaiju. So he comes in after the kaiju have been killed, cleans it up, boom, boom, cleaning up blood, guts, all that. Kafka, he is like an older type dude in terms of anime years. He's like 27, 28, or he might be 32. Somewhere like that. He might be that age. But the point is, he's gotten old enough to the point where he isn't eligible to become a part of the Kaiju Defense Force, which is his childhood dream. Speaking of his childhood, he had a girl who I'm gonna say he liked. They didn't explicitly say that, but you already know how that go. He had a girl he liked, and they both lost something due to the kaiju, and they said, you know what, when we grow up, we're gonna go into the defense force and kill kaiju. And so he has this kind of like guilt complex where he's like, fuck, I haven't done my part of it. A girl I liked, who is Mina, she's become like the one of the biggest captains in the defense force. He's like, damn, I didn't feel behind her. Like, fuck, I'm such a slob, etc. So he on his down and out on his pity party. But one day, this white haired, you already know, got to be somebody with white hair in the anime. But this white haired boy comes into the janitorial force, and he's like, you know what I'm saying, I'm about to go into the defense force, etc. And him and Kafka kind of end up having they start off having like a rocky relationship, but eventually, as they're leaving one of their cleanup areas, a kaiju spawns like randomly. And so they're both just in that situation together. Kafka ends up saving the white haired boy's life, and white haired boy is like, fuck, like, that's a real nigga. And so he ends up, calls the defense force and comes back to defend Kafka from this kaiju. So they tight after that. So boom, they end up in the hospital. They fucked up. And so as they chill in the hospital talking to each other, this kaiju like larvae type thing flies through the window up to Kafka and proceeds to dive into this nigga's mouth.
What? That's suspicious.
I had to pause to let y'all know that was not a misspeak. That wasn't a like fuck up. No,
That's
he literally
weird.
dives into this nigga's mouth. So after that, Kafka transforms into a kaiju and subsequently kicks off the whole plot. The plot is for Kafka. He ends up going to test to join the defense force because miraculously at the same time they raise the age limit because they need more people. So we're watching him go into the defense force, try and get into it, try and reach up to his long lost childhood girlfriend standards and stand by her side and feel like a good man and figure out how to control being a kaiju. And you know, watching him go through that journey of like not trying to tell people he's a kaiju and shit. And so, you know, typical shonen. The only thing I'll say that's not similar to other shonen is like typically other shonen, they will have this trope where there's a weak girl who likes the super powerful main character and is forever pining after him. Dragon Ball Z with Chi-Chi and Bulma, My Hero Academia with Uraraka and Izuku, and then Shield Hero. If you guys have seen that, I can't remember, Raftalia, and then I forget the main character's first name in there. But my point is, this happens a lot where they will have the woman be the one that's powerless and pining after the main character. But in this one, they've kind of, at least in the beginning, they've taken a different kind of standpoint to it where we have our weak main character pining after the super strong female like side character. So I thought that was cool, you know. I think that's interesting. It stands out to me. It has a great first episode. It's pretty intriguing. The animation is cool. Voice acting is great. One of the first things that stuck out to me about the anime itself is that as somebody that enjoys sub over dub, the dub actually is not that bad. The dub is bearable. Even if you switch, the voice acting doesn't feel forced like it can sometimes with the English dub. So definitely that got a point in my book.
Big boobs. What?
So boom, onto our last one of part 1. We have Windbreaker. Okay. Windbreaker for me is just a typical like Fight Club anime. The animation is pretty decent. For me, the plot is a little odd. It's a little lacking in some areas. It's basically like if it's like the village hidden in the city. Like our fucking ninjas are teenage boys in a high school. For me, it's like it's a little lacking on the plot. But it's basically about this young boy who has been bullied due to his hair color and shit. He ends up moving to this city that's famous for its high school. The high school is famous because, one, their hierarchy is based off of who's the strongest. And so for this boy, our main character, he wants to go to this school to be acknowledged for his strength as opposed to being like excluded for how he looks and bullied for it. So he wants to beat his way to the top. Great, well and good. When he finally comes to the town, he realizes that the group of schoolboys that go to this not great school, to this fight school, they're actually all friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and they protect the city from thugs who I have no idea where they come from. They really just spawn in and they like just appear. And us as the viewers, we just end up like seeing the schoolboy spawn to these random thugs. So just in that sense, as you can tell, it's like it's not really getting me on that part or whatever, but I'm curious enough to keep watching. But basically, like on episode 2, we still haven't. Oh no, we just gotten to him actually getting into the school, and it kind of gives me the vibes of Tokyo Revengers, or maybe even Skate 8. If you guys have seen that, it kind of gives me that vibe too, or even Baki, just from where the premise is fighting. I actually didn't watch Baki all the way through though, so whatever. But for me personally, there's nothing that's like noticeably different or eye-catching about this anime. It's like the typical Fight Club. One thing I don't understand is like, why are high schoolers protecting the town? Like, do they not have police? But I feel like if you ask that, like, why are young kids protecting like these mass groups of people, you would have to question a lot of anime, because a lot of anime just have young kids just doing whatever. But it's decent, cool. If you like God of High School, Baki, or Tokyo Revengers, you would probably like this. Main character is not hard to like. He's not loud like Asta or Naruto. He's pretty in the middle. He swings between being like broody like Sasuke and like a man of justice like Naruto, without having Naruto's mouth or Sasuke's like hard ass exterior. So it's like pretty typical. We're just getting introduced to our other side characters. So it honestly may pick up after this. You know, I know they always say, 3-episode rule, watch till 3 episodes. So I'm gonna stay true to that with this, just because it's not horrible. Like, it's not hard to watch, but it's available on Crunchyroll if you guys want to watch. Yeah, that's it for part 1. Y'all stay tuned for part 2, because in part 2 we're getting into like the chiller anime, the slices of life type thing, stuff like that. So stay tuned. Go ahead, click the bell to stay updated for when I post. Like if you like the video, and subscribe to stay tuned for the rest of my videos. And as always, I'll see you next time.